Well, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here, and always great to share our experience with Bruno, with Umberto, I Umberto also, and with the rest of you. Um, I'm going to share my presentation right now. Just give me a minute. Can you see it?
Yes, it's on the weather.
And if I do this, can you see it?
Yes, positive.
And if I do this, you can see it also. Very good. So, um, what can I bring to you today? Bruno told me about this initiative, a very interesting initiative that I will be glad to be part of. I will, despite the introduction Bruno told about the work that I usually develop regarding the other kind of geographies. Today I will be talking about a very small village in Portugal, in the north of Portugal, in Caminha, with a historic center and um, a research project that I was part of. I coordinate part of it, not the entire project. The main project was part of a PhD thesis led by Professor Isabel Carvalho. I was the coordinator of the urban morphology, urban form analysis, if you want, and the relation with historic buildings of the Caminha village. And I was part of it with my students of urbanism course that I was teaching then at Escola Superior. It's architecture school in the north of the country, in the border with Spain. So this was a project where we, in a way, try to understand how to merge several things. The first one was, of course, this relation between the buildings, the heritage buildings, the urban tissue, the local urban tissue where those heritage buildings were. But most of all, we were not focusing on the physical part of the heritage environment or heritage context that we were dealing with. We set as a goal to try to understand how to increase some non-tangible layers to these historic fabric and historic buildings. So we proposed a joint cooperation with the local municipality. So we had the support of the Caminha City Hall. They were very, very, very supportive in terms of logistic, for instance. We had also the support of a high school, a local high school. We work with students with 15, 16, 17 maximum. Group of students, class, and we also work with a local institution that has this kind of a daycare for senior people. So we, with this support network, we established the research. And of course, my my students in the architecture program, and also some colleagues from Isabel working with our in our PhD. So this was the main framework of this project. This is also something that in the back then I was articulating with my postdoc that Bruno also talked about. It was a methodology that I developed during the postdoc to merge some tracking approaches with the urban morphology approaches. So using some applications for tracking with the mobile and the use of the urban space and the appropriation of the space. So it was an opportunity to combine a lot of things within this project. Before going to the project, actually, some topics of the more conceptual framework of the research and of the project. This was a project that was in a way set with this idea of involving people, local inhabitants, increasing history to the institutional history of the historic center of Caminho. And by doing this, we decided also to explore digital tools, digital process, etc., and try to merge all of this in a more wide methodology that combine field work, interviews, being with people, talking with people, develop some software, etc. So the idea was to try to develop an analysis of the historic center of Caminho with these communication mobile devices, digital process, trying to achieve this digital representation and visualization. What kind of emerging digital and media technologies could we explore, and what kind of tools and systems for the representation of communication and visualization of data and information. The idea was to get memories and stories from people that used to live for a long time in Caminho, and try to add it, to put it on the buildings, on those places, on the squares, on the streets where those stories happened, and how to share it, how to make it available to people walking through the historic center of Caminho. This was based on a collaborative participation of local population involving those agents that I told you about: students, old people, institutional, town hall, etc., schools, etc., etc. So the core topic is this one framed here about the historical contents and the virtual reconstruction of these contents, of these very personal and subjective historical contents that we would like to have to the more institutional historical narrative of the Caminho's historical center. And to do that, we thought about this artistic practice with new historic sites analysis methods, and to approach these historic sites and memories with a multi-operative and flexible methodology. As I told you, we in this methodology, we combine a lot of approaches, both analogical ones, both digital ones, both face-to-face one, both simulation, etc. This digital process and the understanding of the role of historic sites and buildings within cities profile in the globalized urban world, and what kind of contents could we create from this approach. So we set these on hybrid methods to a multidimensional comprehension of historic sites, and trying to renew theoretical concepts with new digital systems, including locative media art, historic site morphological analysis, dynamic maps, combining and converging methodologies, and working on this very important topic for us, that it's the appropriation, space appropriation, place appropriation, and the apprehension, the perception, and the procedures engaged with historic centers using walking techniques mediation by digital technology. The reference of the situationists from the 1860s was also very important for us, this idea of walking without destiny, just capturing the feelings and the perception of the historical center of Caminho. So we work with members from people's appropriation, with locative media art approaches, and involving urban form and digital developments. So what was the purpose of this is to make a more inclusive, increase the inclusion, the not inclusion, the feeling of belonging of local people regarding this major narrative of the historic major narrative, institutional major narrative of the historic center of the Caminha village and its buildings. And narrow this big narrative with micro narratives that we could get from people. What we asked for people to tell us about, we asked for everyday memory space experience, past and present, that still takes place in historic sites and buildings, that they experience it and that they could share, and that could be available for everyone to share it also with each other. So we were applying for, we were calling for this multidimensional experience in historic centers with this idea, as I told you, of the veer of historical sites legacy, to engage the city living pulse, not only with the great historic narratives, but also with the visual memories. This was very important for us to bridge these platforms, to positions. So we try to add stories to citizen memories and to local history, turning historical sites and buildings more inclusive, and create this kind of historical information modeling. It was an idea that we tried to develop back then, tried to then to systemize and create these kind of methods that we could put all together in this idea of him, combining the physical and the digital, and dealing with this idea of the I intergeneration. And why this I intergeneration was important for us? Well, this is the title of the project, Compassos por Histórias, Narrativas Digitais de Caminha. It's all about narratives regarding the historical center of Caminha, regarding its urban form, the places, the streets, the squares, and the buildings, of course. So why, again, this relevance of I intergeneration? How do we start this project? Well, we had students, we had old people, senior people, and we had to put them to dialogue. We had to put them talk to each other. So when you talk to students about this project, to capture their attention, it was a little bit tough because they were always looking to the mobiles. So we start to share these ideas through the mobile. And then we told to the students, well, you will have to talk with old people to capture those people's memories. And we said the same to the old people. Everybody said, oh, that is not going to happen. We don't want to listen. And the old people said, look, they want to listen to us. So we use the mobile to, in a way, bridge old people and young people. We put old people doing something that they like a lot, that is to tell their story lives. And we put young people, students, do something that they also like a lot, using a mobile. So what did we start to do? This is the group, part of the group of the people that work with us. This is in the end of the project, in the exhibition that was organized by the City Hall in the local museum in Caminha, where you can see part of the people. There are other photos with more of the participants. And the first thing that we started to do was to understand what kind of places within the urban form, within the urban tissue of the historical center of Caminha, we would find interested places. So despite those already identified by the municipality. So what we did was to put students walking with their mobile, with the tracking application, walking through the historical center. This is Caminha, this is the Douro River, the other side, the Minho River. This, the other side is Spain. So we just put students with their mobiles and the tracking application, walking through the city and trying to understand where they walk faster, where they walk slower, where they stop, where they take the picture, where they comment some aspect of the historical part of the Caminha. So this was very easy to do with the students because they engage with this quite easily. This was not so easy to do with the older people because most of them, we need to have a student with and older people tracking the path of this senior participant on the research, just tracking it without doing anything else. After it, we try to identify. We did a collaborative map with all of these tracking experiences. We put them all together on a Google Maps, I guess. It was an open source collaborative platform. And in that platform, we gather all the comments, all the photos. They were all with the GPS on, so we had all the pictures in the places where they were took. So we know the most wanted places in terms of photographs, in terms of comments, good opinions of the places, bad opinion of the places, etc., etc., etc. So we gather all this, we analyze it, and then we went to the second step of the research. That was to start to talk with the old people. And we did this following two different methodologies, two different approaches, sorry. We had old people that like to talk about their histories, their memories on the places that they took place, and other ones that they just told us their stories without being on the building or close to the building where that story was referring to. So we collect these memories, these stories, these personal, these individual stories using audio, video, and sometimes sketching also, but mainly video and audio with the mobiles. We just use mobiles. We film with mobile, we audio with mobile, etc. Then we assemble all of it to the final exhibition with a software that we could merge all of this. This is another lady, an old lady telling us about some of her memories, and we were capturing, and we all have mobiles. With the videos, then we could assemble a kind of we edit the same interview, the same story, the same memory, edited with different mobile videos. So it was a very dynamic thing. It was great for the students also to be engaged with, because they discovered the software where they could do this. So after this experience, they keep on doing experience with the software with their own movies, the videos, sorry. This is another one, another case with a lady talking about something that happens in this house, and we were there capturing the memory. So this is the collaborative platform, all the dots, all the places that we were. And then we did something with archives. We identified the buildings that people mentioned on their memories. And then we, with the students, went to the library, and we went to the photograph, to the municipal photography archive, and tried to get old pictures from the places that the senior participants on the experience told us about. So we had annotations, we had photographs from the day that the old participant was talking about a certain place, a certain building, and we also had then on the collaborative platform photographs or old documents, etc., that could, in a way, give a glimpse of the environment, of the atmosphere of the epoch that was referred by the memory of the senior participant. After it, we arranged all of those stories, all of those memories with contemporary photographies, with old photographies, with the tracking experience. We combine all of it in augmented reality application, and then we put a pop-up on the buildings that had some memories attached to it. So if we walk through the streets of Caminha with a mobile, we pass through a building with a memory on it, a pop-up come up in the mobile and would tell us, look, you have a memory here if you want to listen and to share it. And if you want, you grab the mobile, or you grab the iPad or the whatever, and you could see the senior participant of the research telling its memory with a picture, with an old picture, with a kind of a map of the zone, etc., etc., etc. We did this in different places. We could use all board, the iPad or the iPhone, as I told you about. And this is the final exhibition where all the contents that we produced was shown. The mayor was there, all the senior participants were there, and it was very interesting at the end to see senior participants talking with young students, and the lack of the gap of dialogue between them was narrow, this experience, and put this very enjoyable environment with the technology and old people, something that usually doesn't combine old people with technology. It isn't that much. They could be combined with some work. And I would say that with this image, I would close this, and just to tell you that the purpose of this presentation, goal of this research, was to understand what kind of extra value can we add to the historical centers and to the historical buildings, despite the intrinsic value that they already have as a building, as a historical place, but adding this kind of memory layer that could increase the interest that I can have by visiting it. And at the end, we did a walk through the city to the center of Caminha, just listening to all the stories that we could have by doing that walk, and just enjoying all those memories. So this is what I would like to tell you today, and nothing more. I hope I keep my time on schedule. And thank you, Bruno. Thank you, Umberto. And any questions?